Hi, my name is Harvey Hubbell, and this is Harvey Hubbell's Show and Tell. What's your name and what do you do?
Hi, Harvey. My name is Teerath Grewal, and I was an educator, and right now I am the CEO and founder of Everest Scholars. I'm also one of the directors for the Reading League, and we are on the mission to make sure that every child is able to read proficiently. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm running Everest Scholars with a team of educators. We are partnering with school sites, with families, and giving them the proper, explicit, targeted instruction that they need, the students need to help them grow their reading skills, and also doing volunteer work with the Reading League.
Well, I want to hear about all of that. So enough about you. Well, let's talk about me. So how do we meet?
Uh,
How do we meet?
so we met at the Reading League annual conference this year. That was in Syracuse, New York, and you were talking about Hopewell, the movie, and my team had already met you at the first screening in LA. So they told me about you. Holly was with me when the first time I met you. I still remember. And yeah, we were in New York the first time we met, and then after I recorded you. I remember a video I made for you of you to share with Sharon.
Go. Okay, you tell Sharon that we love each other. We love Sharon, and for her to hurry on back. And we're going to talk to her. We're going to brainstorm about how we're going to figure this all out in California. Much love.
Thank you. Perfect.
And then we met again at the 95% group conference.
Cool. So we've been talking about this perfect storm of education that's going on right now, and you're kind of an innovator of what's happening. Let's pretend that this is year 2023, and so you have this whole entire crazy innovation stuff. But I want to hear your hero's journey. I want to hear about your background, your teaching experience, how you got involved with helping students improve their reading. So what was it like when you were a kid? How did this all begin?
So, interesting story. So I was born in India. I was born there, and we learned three languages at the same time. So that's why it's a bit interesting for me. So I learned English, I learned Hindi, the national language, and we learned the state language. And for me, that was Punjabi. So I grew up in India. I finished fifth grade, and I was in sixth grade when I moved to United States with my dad. And so, I learned to read, and I was able to, read and write, able to do all the schoolwork when I moved here. I needed a little bit of time to develop my conversational English, of course. So I was considered an ELL student when I moved to United States. So I know, the experience that my ELL students have had, when they're trying to really hoping that the teacher goes slowly enough so they can understand, they can process, the directions. And so I've personally lived through that myself. And then soon, within a couple of years, I was reclassified. I was able to fluently speak, even conversational English. And then, that was my initial experience. I was able to read, it was okay. Then I did my undergrad at UC Irvine. And that's actually when I was first introduced to the reading crisis, just at a smaller scale. I didn't realize it was, at the level it is up until, later. So when I was at UC Irvine doing my undergrad, I was actually looking for part-time work, and I was able to join Jumpstart. So it's a nonprofit organization. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. So it's like Teach for America, where they train college students, undergrad students, with early literacy information, and then we're able to go and actually implement the lessons at a really high level impoverished school site. So, a team of, my cohort, we're all undergrad students. We meet weekly, we learn, about early literacy, and we are able to implement it. And that's where I was first introduced to, students where they could not read. And this is kindergarten, first grade level. So this is where I'm kind of getting a glimpse of it. But of course, I'm still, not fully aware of the level of, the crisis we were experiencing. And that's when I'm working with the students, and that's when I fell in love with teaching. And that's when I realized, I want to pursue teaching. After I graduate, I want to be a full-time teacher. So I joined my credentialing program, and my first job as a teacher was under Sharon Dunn. She was my first principal. So I worked, I know, amazing, amazing. And I'm so, so, so grateful. She has been my mentor, and I love her so much. I look up
Wow,
to her.
you just come out of the gate swinging. You guys become like rebels. You guys were taking over a school and bringing up the reading scores, right?
Oh,
You're
we
you're
oh we
part of
were.
you're
Yes,
part
we
of her original team. So you came out.
I
You were a young gun,
am.
and you come out and you join up. So we have a bunch of hardworking idealists that aren't going to take no for an answer. I love this. You guys are heroes.
Mhm. I love you calling me young Dunn. I really like that. I'm going to tell her later on today. So she was my first principal, and when I joined Loudon Elementary, we were at the point where our scores were low. We were struggling. We had just begun implementing, Acadians and the universal screeners, the diagnostics, and 95% group resources. So I'm so glad that I was able to be part of that journey with Sharon Dunn. And she's been on, this podcast, that she was a transformational leader. She did incredible work. I mean, she really dived deep into what was happening and how to help her students because, they were our babies and they could not read. So we felt it. This was something, that we needed to do immediately. We needed to solve that issue. So I was a sixth grade teacher. I was part of the sixth grade team, and we stayed the course. We really really worked hard to make sure that we were all collaborating. We had a strong culture of collaboration throughout the entire school. Everybody spoke the same language. We were on the same page in terms of what we were doing, what we needed to do to make sure the kids were able to read.
Were you there
So,
year one, or did she bring you in as one of the? Because I mean, she went in and she wanted to change the school around, and she relied on her people. It was her and her stick to itness, and then she got
mhm.
you guys. So were you at the school, or did you show up at the school after she began to? It was a couple of years to turn the school around.
So the journey had begun already. So when I came in, our scores were still low. I was there for free for a few years. The last year I was there, and she retired the year before. I was there for another year. That was a year we were able to see the success. We were able to see the data that showed that 93% of our sixth graders, 93%, I repeat, were able to read fluently and accurately at grade level. So we were just so happy with, with the success we had. But I mean, we were in the trenches with her. So Ian Elliott, I know she mentioned that during the podcast too. He was the team lead, and I worked with him. So we had our sixth grade team. We had students that were, even though they were in sixth grade, they were reading, at third grade, second grade level, that we needed to bring them up. We needed to make sure that their reading needs were being met. So we were, having our own, our small group instruction, or targeted tier 2, tier 1 instruction, meeting with Sharon Dunn and having her data talks to analyze what's happening and doing the work that we needed to do. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to join her school site.
Well, that's kind of historic. That's pretty good. And then you came in and you were English as a second language student. You were a lab rat. I don't. You might not know I'm dyslexic, and so I mean I know what it was like back in 1964 in a public school system. So I mean I
Mhm.
wasn't. I was studying it like I was being studied,
Mhm.
and anyway,
Yeah.
So yeah, you got it. You feel my pain. So so if you never met her, would you still have been inspired to help students improve the reading outcome? There's something on that you could have went to McDonald's. You're sort of working there. You could have started a moving company. You could have done anything. You could
Mhm.
have. Why reading?
So, here's the thing. The school site we were at, Loudon Elementary, it really was a special school site. I mean, the students that we were helping out. So, of course, reading was, a situation that we were handling, but also there were so many other, challenges they were experiencing with behaviors, with, the households they were coming from. We had 88% rate of our students that were coming from impoverished homes. So there were just so many other challenges, they were experiencing with, and we felt it, we took it to heart. We knew that, even I remember, when I was doing my PhD, I wanted to research, on the poverty cycle. What are some of the things that could help a student if we were to, provide them with, that could take them out of that poverty cycle? And that's when I realized, and I remember having this conversation with Sharon Dunn too. Reading reading was that key element that could get them out of that poverty cycle. When they have the knowledge, the amount of opportunities they would have later on, the doors that would open up for them. If they're struggling, if they're, for example, my students, sixth grade level, and they're reading at third grade level, there's no way, the material, the sixth grade core resources, texts that we want them to interact with, to learn from, that they could do. And of course, if we don't address it at that time, that would just have a compounding, level of effect on them later on. And it would be almost impossible for them to catch up. So we knew that it wasn't just the reading problem we were going to fix. We were helping them in so many ways that, that we knew we had to get on it right away and be able to open those doors for them that would affect them for a lifetime.
I mean, I agree. I agree with you. Empathy, compassion, and I mean, I say it all the time. If you never read, you live one lifetime. If you learn to read, you live 10,000 lives. I'm just reading Frederick Douglass right now, and where the light really just turns on in a soul, where they begin to do it. So, I mean, you guys got to go to bed at night knowing that you've changed. You got 93% success rate with 88% poverty. You guys change somebody's life, and what they do with that is up to them, but they're able to make decisions that they might not have been able to make before. You gave them books and knowledge to be able to read, even if they're not reading books, they're reading magazines, or they're reading better on the internet.
Absolutely. And we were able to stay connected. So because our sixth graders go to, junior high school later on, we stay connected. We still, they're able to email us, they're able to come visit the campus. We stayed connected, and the level of success they had in junior high, because of the reading success they had at Loudoun, it felt so good. It felt that we really did have an impact on their lives. That was the moment where we, of course, they leave our doors, and then we hope for the best, that, whatever they go through later on, that they have success and they achieve great success with everything. But when they come back to you, they're junior high students, they're visiting back, and they're emailing you, and they're letting you know that they're doing so well in school. Oh my goodness, Harvey, I cannot even tell you that moment, describe that to you. But so we were able to do so much. It was hard work. Sharon did, I mean, just amazing the amount of resources she provided, the coaching, the people she brought on campus to make sure that we were fully knowledgeable about what we were doing, with the assessments, with the resources. She didn't give up on us. And, of course, we made sure that we shared that mission and passion with her. So all of us, that collective efficacy, that she also talks about, we were able to implement it, get great success. The sad part was when I moved away from Loudoun, that's pretty much that led me to launch Everest Scholars, actually. So I moved away, that's, what we're going to get into. So I moved away from Loudoun, and, I'm in the school site that I'm working at, it's pretty affluent. But it turns out that there are not any reading interventions in place. Every student is receiving the same level, the tier 1 level reading instruction. And even though, the school sites, the leaders are thinking, oh, because our students have so many resources at home, they're coming from affluent background, very wealthy families, that, they're reading, they're at grade level, they're okay. But I had some families within my classroom, some of the other grade levels, approach me and ask me for help because their kids were not able to read. And, they were having issues with the school site, thinking, asking questions, what is going on? Our kids are not able to read. So that's when I started helping students after school. And so initially we were just helping a few families, in the neighborhood and, local areas. So many families ended up reaching from other school sites, from other regions, that we had to, I ended up bringing on board several other teachers. Together, we were able to help students after school. And then we realized there's a pattern, that it's not just, that, the students have either a learning difference or, a concern that's kind of preventing them from having this reading success. It's actually the systems that they're part of. So when I started meeting with the families, I started talking to the teachers, I started talking to the school leaders, And I noticed that the school sites are not providing the help that these kids are needing. So that's when we started partnering up with school sites. So now we're working with school sites as well.
So it's an interesting journey that you have growing up to the school system that makes you who you are. You fall in with a good lot, with a good crew, a bunch of people who are going to make a difference. You have that wisdom because what you see you can't unsee. So now you have that wisdom, a different social economic group that you're with, but you still see the problems. You said my favorite expression, learning difference. So we know that poverty sometimes. So again, you know, you got second language. They're speaking one language at home. They're speaking another language at school. You got dyslexia. Like, hey, isn't making sense to me. I don't get what you're talking about. You have poverty, which mimics dyslexia in a lot of different ways, and now they're affluent, and
Yes.
so learning difference is a kind of a crazy thing, and so now here's the interesting thing:
Mhm.
the schools make a choice, and so if they start bringing guys like you on, so how do you help people after school? So I know after school, this is what used to happen back in 1970 something and 1960 something. You stay after class or you go to the teacher's house and you kind of learn. But no, not you guys. So things are changing here a little bit because it's 1920 something or other. Okay, so tell me about. Let's go back to where you just were. You're helping out one or two kids after school, and then you're helping out some other kids. Is the same school system, or do you start going to other school systems? How do people find you? And how do you do it? How do you do it?
Absolutely. So first it started from my school site that I was helping students after school. And then, the word spread that other school sites started knowing about me. And then, the families talked and word of mouth spread that, I'm helping after school with reading. More and more families started, approaching me, calling me, messaging me, reaching out that they want the one-on-one help I was giving their students. The thing is, I was, again, so fortunate that I had the training that I received at Loudoun Elementary with structured, systematic, proper targeted instruction that I was able to give to students. Students were not receiving that at school. And the parents were, picking on that something's not going right at school. So anyways, word of mouth spread, more and more families. And then eventually, we got to the point where I couldn't handle the workload myself. So I started, reaching out to teachers. That's when I launched Everest Scholars. I knew this is a major problem at a scale level that it will just not, I couldn't be the only one to solve this. So I decided to bring on other teachers on board that were reading specialists, fully credentialed teachers. So not only did they know, reading instruction, but they knew how to teach properly online. So I built the, Everest Scholars platform. It's all virtual. We have our own video conferencing tool where the students meet with the teacher one-on-one virtually, and we're able to guide them through the proper reading instruction they need. So we actually assess them as well. So that's the first thing I always did with the parents. And then now we do it with the school sites as well. We provide the universal screener. We, make sure that, we understand the deficits the kids are experiencing. We know exactly where they're at, and then we're able to provide we're able to pinpoint it and provide that exact instruction they need and meet their needs at the level they're at.
Well, I'm the dumbest guy in the room here, so here we go. So your first student, you probably stayed after school and talked to him in a classroom or something like that and helped out him or her, and you did it that way. Eventually, you got hungry, you wanted to go home, you're going to meet somebody after dinner. But you do this virtually now. You do this.
Now it's all virtually.
Now it's all virtual. So now,
Mhm.
if I live in California, I live in your time zone. What about other parents that see this? We have a lot of viewers now. So
So
what if other people want you? Then what do we do?
Mhm.
You're going to assess them, which is important.
Absolutely. And so another thing that I want to mention, and I'm going to address the question that you just brought up. So, it was to the point, I was completely heartbroken with the situations I was experiencing. So the families were approaching, they needed help, but there were so many families that were they felt helpless. So students that were, even within the Punjabi community, for example, we serve, of course, students that are from all different backgrounds and everybody. So because the Punjabi parents felt like they could relate to me, they started approaching, and some of the other ethnicities where they didn't speak any English. So the parents felt so helpless. They didn't know what to ask the school. So they were able to talk to me in my language, in Punjabi, and I was able to direct. And from my culture, from my background, there's not that many educators. I only know of one or two that are Punjabi speaking educators. So the fact that they could relate to me, I could explain to them, okay, your student has an IEP. A lot of the parents that, their students that had IEPs, they didn't know what an IEP is. They didn't even realize that their students were receiving extra, either speech help, or if they had dyslexia, they were identified. They didn't understand any of these things. So at one point, I was even going to the IEP meetings with these parents. I was supporting them even in that way, that I really wanted to make sure they understood what was going on, the learning difference that their child was experiencing, and, that they needed extra support in a different way. So, I mean, I was fully getting involved and helping them out that way. So now addressing your question, parents can reach out anytime. So they can email us at info@everestscholars.com, reach out to us, and our team will help assess the student, make sure that we understand, the lowest skill deficit the student needs for reading, and then design personalized instruction for that child. And I mean, now we partner with school sites even. A lot of the school sites here, the ones that don't have any support level, any interventions in place, they know they're in trouble. Most of the students are not able to read, and they don't know. So we are also partnering with school sites now, with districts.
So I imagine that you're in California. A lot of people speak Spanish there. So there's the same exact thing going on. So some of your team, you have bilingual people in your team, and you begin
We do.
to.
We have Spanish speakers.
Very good.
Oh yeah, we have Spanish speakers, and Punjabi, and of course, we'll definitely bring on the different languages too, because that's the community. We this different subgroups, right? The different subgroups, people from different ethnicities, people from different regions. Instruction is so different in other parts of the world. For example, just in India, I mean, the instruction the parents received, and the schooling that they received, it's so different than what's happening here in the United States. So for them to understand, for them to have, those, of course, a language barrier where they, that support is not available, it means a lot to them when they finally get it. They finally understand that my child has a learning difference, for example. A lot of the times they're not even aware of that. So we're definitely, thinking globally, but acting locally. We started local, and now we want to help out as many people as we can.
Well, I do like that. And interesting thing about second language learners, and you saw our film. I want to ask you what you thought about our film, because you saw our film, and Waterbury is a city of immigrants, and now the type of immigrants have changed. A lot of them are coming from south of the border. They're coming up through South America, and they're coming here to seek a better life. They're coming here to help us in our country with jobs that nobody else is taking. And those parents, just like the generation before that, just like in Waterbury, Connecticut, it was a town built by the Irish and by the Italians, and those parents stayed. They worked in the factories, but they got their kids an education, got their kids through college, and those kids move out of those towns. Other people move into those towns. So with that in mind, you saw Dyslexia movie. I forgot even what movie I work on. What's the name of our movie? Hopeville. Thank you. You saw it. Did you like it?
I loved it. I've told so many people about it that they have to watch it. I've been promoting it for you on all of my social media. I loved it. Especially because of the way you did an incredible job, just the way it's done. It's in the way the information is provided throughout the movie. Anybody can understand it. It's not just for the educators. It's not just for, the school leaders. Anybody, parents, different stakeholders can get can watch the movie and understand, that this is a major crisis that we're going through. And we have the knowledge, we have the resources. Now it's just a matter of implementing it, getting everybody on board, understanding that we're in it together. It's not really going to be them versus us. We all of us have to get involved and really look at this issue as an issue that's affecting our children. These are, our kids. What will their livelihood look like if we didn't get involved now? So I loved it. A lot of people have asked me how they can watch it when it'll be on Netflix. So let me know, and then I can give them that information.
And we'll put up things. We have our QR code, and if you can request a screening, we have 120 some odd people who we're just trying to get going to the next year. So various different screenings.
Oh wow!
So we have a lot going on. So yeah, we'll put that information up there too. Well, when you know better, you do better. And
yes,
and you're right. The thing that I see now, the perfect storm of the literacy crisis is there's a literacy crisis. We don't care how many films there are about this, and how many companies there are. There's big collaboration happening now because we can fix this. And if we know better, we do better, and spread the word, get the word out there, and get people working on it, and have people have people have screenings, have people put the panel discussions together, like you saw at the Reading League. So you're kind of a big deal in the Reading League California now too. So what happened with that? So I mean, so okay, so you were a student, you went to the university, you became an educator. You said you did the same thing. If I know better, I can do better. I can do this. You're an innovator. You start finding different ways to reach people and unlock. Like I always kind of consider you guys like educational ninjas. Like, what's coming at me? How am I going to do this? So you guys figure that out. And then everybody's in the educational revolution. There's educational evolution that's happening all the time. So now you're a director of the Reading League in California. So tell me. Well, tell us. We've talked about Everest Scholars. We talked about you growing up with Sharon Dunn. Let's talk a little bit about the Reading League and how you got involved there. Why did you start hanging out with these guys?
So when I launched Everest Scholars last year, that's when I was just hungry for more information. I wanted to network with people that were, thinking the same, the things that I was thinking, that were concerned about this. So I think one of the webinars I joined was from Todd Collins. I think he had organized, or his organization. So there was a webinar, Diane Bryson told me about it. And on the webinar, the local school sites were talking about the success stories they had. So, they shifted from balanced literacy to structured literacy, and, the shift, the challenges they had, and, how effective they were able to make all of it work. So they were talking about it. And that's when Kristen, our president for the Reading League California, she mentioned that, they're launching the Reading League in California. And if there are people interested in joining as board members, they can apply for it. I sent her a quick email. I told her that I'd be interested because I really wanted to be part of that community where I knew I would have access to resources that were vetted out. I had known about the Reading League. So I wanted to be part of that cohort. And these are amazing, amazing people. Our board members, they are all so experienced. They're so well-versed in this field. It's just so fortunate to be part of that group. So I applied for it. She told me, yes, you can, join us. And then I became one of the directors, and we did the back end work last year. This year in July, we were able to fully launch it. And we've had an event every month since then. Harvey, wait for this. We have 1,000 followers within a few months. We were able to, reach that milestone. So just within, the few months, we were able to, have 1,000 members join us. So, we're only going to go, higher from this. So we're excited that people in California are interested in learning. So, and just like I was last year, I in order to help Everest Scholars, the teachers that had joined me and my team and the students, I knew I needed to be part of the Reading League, that I needed to be. And the beauty of Reading League is that, it's all based on science, right? The science of reading. So it's always developing. It's not that, okay, what we have now, this is it. It's going to be continuously changing. Whatever new information comes to us that we know is more effective for our students, we will talk about it, we will discuss it. So it's that continuous process this is not just it. This is science. This is going to evolve. We're going to have new information. So as I just graduated with a PhD, so I mean, I consider myself a lifelong learner. I love being part of research projects and learning the new materials, the new knowledge that's upcoming, and yeah. So that's what made me join the Reading League. That they have that mission. They're on that mission.
Well, that's the collaboration of One Dream of Maria Murray, who is an incredible saint. She's a gift to our society,
Really
and she decides how can I make a difference, and she figures out, just like you figured out how you could go virtual and this stuff. So okay, so you guys are I love it. See, you're the young gun every place you go, man. So here you are in California, and you got the Reading League out there. What is the chapters done with the Reading League for advocacy and everything else? So now I got 1,000 people. You're a year or two old. You're a year behind the scenes, a year in front of everything, getting things going. So what differences have we made so far?
So because we've been able to hold an event every month, we've had incredible people join us. So we've had people from DDCA, Megan. She talked about the universal screening law that just recently passed, and that it'll be mandated that every student, I believe first grade, that'll be screened for dyslexia. So I mean, that's we were able to have her join us on one of our events. She talked about it. She really explained what the next steps are going to look like, that it's not going to happen overnight, but there are steps that we're going to follow, but it's happening. We're on the right trajectory for that. We've had people like Lindsay Kemeny that are going to come and talk about her book. So people understand the different strategies they can implement in their classrooms when it comes to having that proper instruction that students need. Todd Collins, Julie Washington. So we're bringing people. The members that have joined us, we want them to have access to this information, that people that are considered pioneers, right, in this field of knowledge, they're sharing information. They're meeting live with them virtually. We're bringing these people to them. Talk to them, ask them questions, get involved. Again, collective efficacy. All of us have to get involved. So educators, policymakers, school admin, everybody join, be part of the Reading League, talk to these people that we're able to bring on board, and be part of those discussions.
Well,
That's their impact.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, I know. I feel your passion. I feel your love. Come on, let it out. You can cry. You can cry. It's good for.
I might. I think towards the end.
Well, you're a passionate person. You have the keys for success. You can change people's lives, and you're doing it, and you're changing it. And so, as you said, you told people to watch our film. You tell people to, you get people involved in doing this. So these are, and we've said this before, and you can't say it enough. If you know better, do better. So
yeah.
There's all these educators, and we in the science of reading world, we're at 30%ish. Maybe 70% of the schools are not. So that's why there's so much collaboration going on, because there's enough work for everybody, and
Absolutely.
And there's new kids coming every year. So
Absolutely.
So talk to me more about how you're encouraging and others to implement the science of reading.
So I think because of the Reading League, the advocacy work that also gets done is phenomenal. I mean, we have one of our directors is a regional equity director. So she, her purpose, her requirements are to make sure that she's getting in touch with different regions of California, collecting data to understand how much science of reading is being implemented and how, where it's not being implemented, and reach out to them, invite them to join us or invite them to be part of these discussions so they understand what can be done, what they can do, how they can shift, or at least for them to understand that this shift is necessary. Because like you mentioned, I mean, the numbers are really low as of now, people considering how many people are on board with science of reading. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. The fact that with the Reading League, we're able to, collaborate regionally, because California is huge. There's another north, central, southern, parts that they're vast regions. So it's going to take us time, but I think the fact that we're initiating those conversations regionally, trying to get in touch with them, invite them, respectfully ask them, that if they are on a different journey, how they can bring that shift. So for example, one of the events that we're going to have in February, we're bringing Lancaster, that's a school district near LA. So they're going to talk about their journey as well, when they made that shift and what that looked like, what the challenges they experienced. So I think when people talk about the success that they've had, that look at the numbers that they have right now with the amount of students that are able to read. So like people like Sharon Dunn, when she talks about this can be done. So the fact we have all these board members that have really lived through these challenges and had the success are promoting and are advocating for this work, I think it's going to have it's going to have great amount of impact on people. It will help others join us.
No, this is our year, and parents know it. And I also want to, I want to talk to you about the pandemic. How did that affect? Where were you during the pandemic? Because a lot of parents, all of a sudden, were saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" I mean, for us, we don't, we don't make the bomb. We just drop the bomb. I mean, I don't know how to teach a kid to read. I've watched enough of you guys now, but I mean, I don't know how to teach a kid how to read. But I know how to bring information that you guys have, and even when we have these panel discussions, just to record the great minds that come on there. And I think, and I'm just going to go back to the pandemic. This is like a time where all of a sudden everybody realized, hey, life was great until people started sneezing in 2020 and coughing. And then all of a sudden everything changed, and maybe life wasn't so great, and then we're kind of stuck in the house, and we're paying attention to our kids trying to learn to read, and you're like, that kid's not learning to read. And then and another thing, and I know from in the dyslexia world, is you don't want to tell people my kid can't read, my kid's not doing very well. It's just so. But then you realize what we're realizing now, once this pandemic happened, and you start realizing like we're like, out of 194 nations, we're 125th worst readers or best readers. We're 125th. We're not even in the top 100. So
it's such a sad reality. Yeah.
So where were you when 2020 happened? Were you still, how did that affect you?
I'm so glad you asked that question. So I was at Loudoun the year the pandemic happened. I was there, and like I mentioned, we had the amount of students that we had that were, coming from disadvantaged households, that it was such a sad reality. In a way, it opened the curtain for behind the scenes for us. So, of course, students come to us, and we know, they're experiencing all these different challenges. So when COVID happened, we just, gave them the packets. We put the packets together with different reading passages, and we didn't know what was going to happen. We gave it to the students. A lot of students actually didn't come to pick them up, so we had to go drop them off at their houses. And that's when we got a glimpse of the reality, even at a level that I think at one point I did cry, because I couldn't believe, when you see it, when you really see the reality where the students are coming from, it hits you in a way that it pushes you. What can you do? So I remember one of the students, when I had to go drop, their packets, and at one point we were even dropping off the Chromebooks. The parents were refusing to come pick the Chromebooks because they didn't have internet access at home. So they thought, what's the point of having a Chromebook, a computer, laptop at home, and there's no internet. So we were encouraging parents, it's okay, have a laptop. There's going to be, the bandwidth that will be available. So when I went, the student lived in a trailer home. There were, I think, 15 members, 2-bedroom trailer home. And I mean, when we saw that, when we, got an idea of where his day-to-day life, what that looked like, it was just heartbreaking. And then, of course, we were making sure we were calling, especially to those students that we knew that needed the most, checking in on them, asking what can we do? We know that, it's challenging for everybody. So we were trying our absolute best to keep going, with the way the things we had in place. So when it comes to reading, of course, things changed. Everything, everybody was in a way panicking, how to make everything go virtual. Luckily, even with that, I was fortunate because I have a background in technology. I was part of the ed tech leadership team in my district. So I was actually I was one of the cohort members that were training teachers on Google Suite, on how to, get on Google Classroom, how to use different resources to that would allow students to show their work and whatnot. So because I had that background, I was able to help the teachers on campus and students, call them, let them know, we can help you get set up with virtual instruction. That won't be an issue. But when it came to reading, I remember we still had a meeting with one of the consultants, the coaches that we had, to understand how can we make it work virtually? How can we still have small groups? How can we make sure that the help our students need, they're still getting it, even though, this is happening right now. So we continuously had those discussions. It did not stop. It didn't. We made sure we made it work for our students.
That's great. And you changed lives. You continued changing lives. That's good. All right. What do I need to know that we haven't talked about already? What do you have to tell me? What do you have to tell other people about either what you do or what you hope to want to do, or how to make the world a better place? What do you got?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I want to mention that I didn't get to is that, our company, Everest Scholars, we're on the mission to help not just families, school sites, school districts, with the resources. And luckily, I'm part of the Reading League, so we're able to have access to resources that are vetted out, that are research aligned. So we would love to partner up with schools. We would love to help students and teachers that are, either on the move to shift, or that are not sure about what needs to happen when it comes to providing students with the targeted instruction. And of course, I want to speak on behalf of the Reading League. I want to encourage people to join the Reading League California chapter. We have mission partners. We are partnering up with various other organizations that are also on the same mission. So, we're collaborating with DDCA, with Fulcrum, with, Kareem Weaver's work. So we're partnering up with people. We're on it. We're in it together. So we would love for more people to join us.
Well, we love you guys. We want to partner with you. We love you guys. Have us out more. We'll record more stuff with you, and we'll show all the good work you're doing, and we'll hopefully see you around. We know we're going to see you this year someplace, and you're always invited. If you're on the East Coast, come hang out on the farm with us, because the farm's a fun place.
Absolutely, we will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Harvey.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Okay, you're making a big difference. Thank you, my love.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye-bye.